morning. I'm going to talk about the Self-Help Center, what it is, why we need it, and what you need to know to refer people to the center. A Self-Help Center is not a substitute for a lawyer. You're going to hear me repeat today the phrase, I'm not a lawyer. And it's kind of become a mantra for us at the Self-Help Center. We don't give legal advice. We emphasize the self part of self-help, and we offer tools and resources to assist the litigant to prepare himself. We won't do it for him. A person has a choice to be represented by an attorney or not, but honestly, for the people who come to our center, most of them, the choice has been made for them due to cost. Mid-Penn's the option for free legal aid, but just because you qualify financially doesn't guarantee an attorney. Navigating the legal system on your own is hard, and it's going to be an uphill battle. We tell people that. People either try to file on their own and fail, or they do nothing. And therefore, it becomes to seem that the courts are only for people with money for attorneys. But however difficult or ill-advised it is to represent yourself, more and more people are doing it, and the Self-Help Center tries to educate and prepare those who decide to go it on their own. When first proposed, the idea of a Self-Help Center was not met with widespread support in the community. Some people were actually vehemently opposed to it. Lawyers, for one, were a little, and I think legitimately concerned, that the court was going to open an office in the Judicial Center that essentially said, hey, it's easy, here are the forms, you can do it yourself. But the truth is, the other thing you're going to hear me repeat is that it's not easy. If it were, we wouldn't need lawyers, and if there's one thing we know the world does need, it's lawyers. But seriously, most of the people who visit the center aren't unrepresented by choice. They would prefer to have a lawyer. In 2015, 80% of the visitors to the Self-Help Center who filed for custody were approved for IFP status. That means the county reviewed their finances and determined that they qualified to not pay the filing fees. If someone can't pay filing fees, they can't pay attorney's fees. And not only are people not paying filing fees and able to pay for an attorney, many of them are living below the poverty line. In 2014, 1 in every 8 Americans lived below the poverty line, and 1 in every 5 children live below the poverty line. In their lifetime, 2 in every 5 American children will spend a year in poverty. So people began to understand what the Self-Help Center really wanted to do, and it wasn't just attorneys realizing that their jobs were safe. People saw the value in helping the community. So the Court Self-Help Center opened in October 2013. The project was spearheaded by President Judge Linebaugh, and before the ceremonial portion of the opening was even completed, I had my first customer. I was completing an interview with a reporter, and he tapped me on the shoulder and said, "Can you please help me?" We had 1,900 visitors in 2014, and so far in 2015, we've had more than 3,000 visitors to the center. So it's clear that there's a need for people. People need the Self-Help Center, but the question is, why does the community need it? And the answer is simple. It's the right thing to do. Too many people can't afford an attorney, and what that means is that particular legal situations are not getting addressed. Access to justice is not equal if not having money means the courts are essentially closed to you. In his book, Just Mercy, attorney Brian Stevenson talks about fighting for people who are on death row, innocent and guilty, but largely because of their financial situation. I'm not trying to be dramatic. People who come to see us aren't on death row, but to them, their situation feels life and death. The point is that just because it isn't life and death doesn't mean that people without money should be forced to do without. That's not justice. But we don't kid ourselves into thinking that one visit prepares people to go to court. I'm still not a lawyer. It's still not easy to represent yourself. So what can you do? By the time people get to the center, they've been to other offices. They're feeling frustrated and helpless and scared, and many of you have probably encountered people who are feeling those things. But you can alleviate some of those feelings if you tell people what to expect when they come in. You've probably got it by now that we're not lawyers and we can't give legal advice. So mention that when you refer to people to the center. Also emphasize that we might be able to help people. We have some forms, but we have other resources. We'll give a person information to make his own decision about his own situation. So what do we do exactly? Our mission statement says that we have one centralized location for the provision of forms, services, and procedural information for self-represented litigants in order to increase understanding of and access to the justice system, and allow for more effective participation in court processes, as well as to increase effectiveness of the court itself. So most of you are now asking again, after hearing that, what do we do exactly? We encourage every single visitor to seek legal counsel. We tell them about mid-pen, attorney referral, and modest means. We'll give people information about what to expect in court, like who's who in the courtroom and that they shouldn't wear pajamas when they go to court. If we have a form for a particular situation, we request that the litigants sit down and go over the packet with one of our staff members. The packets were created by attorneys and approved by the bench. The packets have glossaries of terms, diagrams of custody cases of what the overview will look like, procedural information, and the forms with detailed step-by-step instructions for filling them out, filing them, and serving them. The packets cost $1 to $5, but they're all free on our website. If we don't have a packet, or if it's a criminal matter, we have books. We're called the Law Resource Center because we're part law library. We have Lexis and Westlaw for free to do online legal research, and we have a staff member who speaks Spanish. There's no income requirement for the Self-Help Center and no conflict checks since we're not attorneys, and anyone can come to the center. Change is coming. There's so much more that I hope the Self-Help Center will do in the future, like computer documents, software generating, and staff attorneys for limited advice. But this is where we have to start. We're going to try to help people. We're going to listen to them and tell them that it won't be easy. We do what we can to connect visitors with the right resource, but we need you to try to let people know what to expect from us and what's going to be expected of them. The court established the Self-Help Center to help the courts run more efficiently, to help the community, and to combat injustice, to do the right thing. If poverty is in fact the opposite of justice, then we're doing something wrong. Nelson Mandela said that overcoming poverty is not a gesture of charity, it's an act of justice. We're trying to contribute to justice in our own way, and we hope the Court Self-Help Center is a resource that can help. Thank you.